Good morning and welcome back to Margin. This morning we're going to talk about whether you need disability insurance. So let's jump right into it. So when caring well for yourself and being mindful of those who actually depend upon you, it's important to evaluate the need for disability insurance. Now, you may have an insurance provider or a financial advisor that is available to you to basically help you put together a plan, but I would say arguably this would be more important for your loved ones, for those who are affected by a possible premature death or short or long-term disability of some kind. But nonetheless, far too many people operate without enough insurance or without insurance altogether. And it's so important that you actually take the time to invest in figuring out what insurance policies you need to have and making sure that those are a priority in your plan to spend, in your budget. Now, much like anything else, not all insurance is actually created equal, and not all insurance agents are looking out for your best interests. Now, I've run into this many times with not only insurance salesmen, but also financial advisors who also operate very much so like salesmen. But you want to make sure that you actually have someone in your corner that is fighting for your highest and best good, that you're able to depend upon them to not only look for their profits, but to look for your betterment and to make sure that you have the policies in place that actually protect you in the event that some kind of disability event occurs. So disability insurance typically comes in two mainstream products, one being short-term disability and the other being long-term disability. So a short-term disability policy typically covers a portion of your income in the event that you are injured in some way and you expect to fully recover. And during that time, you may not be able to fulfill the basic functions of your role. And so that's what this is for. It's typically a policy that's up to maybe 90 days, but may extend to 180 days beyond the injury in order to give you time to recover. Now, short-term disability policies are oftentimes included as a benefit from a full-time W-2 position or an employer, and can be opted in for, during like the open enrollment time frame for those benefits. Now, you will want to see if this provision is actually in place with your employer and what the limitations are of those policies that your employer opted in for. Now, you can purchase either a short-term or a long-term disability policy, whether you have a W-2 position or not. Now, long-term disability policies typically have a timeline beginning beyond what a short-term policy would cover and carry forward for a much longer period of time or duration. So even if you have a W-2 position, this policy is typically paid in part or in whole by you specifically. So that's why you want to do your research. You want to make sure that you are opting in for the right coverages and you are not, over insuring yourself, but you're also making sure not to opt in for a cut rate, provider that may not provide what you actually need in the event of a disability event. Now, this policy also covers a percentage of your current wages based on the level to which you are disabled. So I always recommend that people have an emergency fund that would cover the baseline living expenses in the event of a layoff, a health issue, or a family emergency otherwise. Now, if you actually have followed up in building a rainy day fund, then you could easily opt out for disability insurance if the policy is not covered by your employer. Now, this would then leave what I consider the most important disability policy, which is long-term disability, to pick up where your emergency fund left off. And for some people, they may not want to take the risk of going through their emergency fund, and they may want to opt in for short-term disability, but that's an option if you have those savings readily available for you. Now, keep in mind that whether you utilize short-term or long-term disability, both policies will kick in based on a percentage of your income. So these are typically not set up to replace the entirety of your income. So getting into the practice of living well below your means and building an emergency fund will allow you to take that pay cut if you need to, versus being someone who's living paycheck to paycheck and not able to take any kind of a pay cut if it came down to that. So beyond short or long-term disability, there are policies related to long-term care for those who are 60 years old or above. So if you or a loved one has surpassed this age, you may consider or recommend a long-term policy that will cover you in the event that you need in-home care or other assistance. Now, my call to action today is to check with your employer to see what kind of disability insurance is in place and whether you've opted into it. Then take a look at your savings to see where you are in regards to your savings and what you may need to bolster on either your insurance or your savings in order to give you and your family some additional peace of mind. If this information is helpful to you, please do like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you're reminded to come back on a daily basis and improve managing your personal finances. Thank you for your time, enjoy your day, and we'll see you back here tomorrow.